How many times have you had somebody say to you, this hand would be really good if it had some lands in it? And that's a really obvious fucking statement, because the hand looks especially good because it's all gas and no brakes. And you need your brakes. And by brakes, I mean you need your vegetables. All right, you fuckheads, daddy's home and he's not happy. There's a good chance you're not playing enough lands in Commander. To those of you good boys and girls out there who gobble up your vegetables, you eat your broccoli and your peas by playing your 38 or more lands, this video isn't directed at you, but you can sit around and you can laugh and snigger as I tell the other ones off, as I scold them. You've seen videos like this from other content creators before. Hell, I think I might have even made a video like this before, but that other creators aren't calling you dirty little names, you little I was inspired by a skeet and a tweet by Rachel Weeks of the Command Zone talking about how playing 38 lands or more will improve your game in many, many ways. And I categorically agree with her, but the bit that made me want to actually make the video was that the vast overwhelming majority of the replies and the quotes that I was looking through were people just agreeing with her. Absolutely. But then just one or two of them were funny about it and weird about it, and that got to me. That's right, all the positive reinforcement doesn't matter, but the moment someone comments that they think you're a cuck, that's the bit that resonates as a content creator. It only takes one grit of sand up your arsehole to make you feel uncomfortable. But if we're honest about it, I think that just the majority that don't agree don't voice it, especially in those spaces where they're like publicly responding to somebody. So let's talk about 38 or more lands. Or fuck it, I'm just gonna say 40. Let's talk about 40 lands. Before we get into it, I want to show you this. This is a legendary playmat by Aleksi Birclot. This is the original artist for Thoughtseize. I'm going to show you a bit better here. You might have me muffled, but it doesn't matter because my face is coloured by a piece of absolutely iconic Magic the Gathering art. The most important thing about this is that it's the original art from the original version of Thoughtseize that old boomers like me know, and then the art is extended to the edge of the playmat by Aleksi himself to give us a larger range and depth. This happens to other cards that he's done art for as well, including Sliver Hivelord and Venser Shaper Savant, a personal favourite, a card that I used to smash the Professor in a game of Shuffle Up and Play once. And all of these things are available on his Kickstarter. This is a sponsored segment, that's right, you saw it in the bottom right hand corner and you felt smug because you knew it. Some of you clicked past, but those of you that are still here, well, you've been introduced to something fucking cool, haven't you? The link is in the description below. This is a sponsored thing, but let's be honest, when they reached out saying, can we sponsor a spot on one of your videos, I was like, yes fucking please, and can I have a playmat too? The Kickstarter's got 9 more days to go, just over a week at time of recording, so get involved and get on it and get yourself one of these incredible playmats by Aleksi himself. Check out the Kickstarter on the link below with all the stretch goals and good stuff down there too. To really illustrate my point and my frustration about like playing more lands, I want to show you some statistics and some numbers. I'll use the example of the Lobster Mobster right here, which is a deck that I'm working on. I guess I haven't really figured out exactly what I want to do with it, and it's something that I might even do a video on, of Ragos the Deft Gastronaut. Let me know in the comment section below if you'd like to see that video. But anyway, this is a deck where I'm playing 34 lands plus 2 MDFC lands, so 36 total. It's very low, but my commander costs 2 mana. I think this number is too low. I need to make some cuts to get lands in here. Anyway, if we scroll down, my average CMC here without lands is 2.86, so the CMC of the deck is very low. For point of reference, like Blue Farm in CDH tends to be around the 1.9. Lists vary, but here's a 1.9, for example. But the most important point on Moxford that I want you all to see here is this down here, a playtestable hand. Here we've drawn a hand with 4 lands in it, but it does tell you down here that average number of lands in opening hand is 2.4. That means on average you're going to have 2.4 lands in an opening hand. That's a very obvious statement. What that really means in reality is that the average hand will have 2 lands in it, because you're veering more towards the 2 than you are the 3. Some hands will have 2, some will have 3. In this case, obviously, statistical anomalies can be more. It's all random chance. But essentially, when there's random chance, you want to try and shift those random chances towards being what you would desire. In this case, and in most cases, it's going to be having 3 lands, right? And I've already heard those of you in the comment section below telling me that actually you keep 2 landers all the time, and that's absolutely fine if you're playing fucking CEDH, where your average CMC is below 2. For those of us playing anything else, which ranges from higher powered commander right down to playing precons and weaker, you're going to want more lands. That's what this whole video is about, I guess. We'll deal another hand, and it's 3 lands. Deal another hand, it's 1 land. Deal another hand, 3 lands. 3 lands, 3 lands. 1 land, 1 land, 3 lands, 3 lands, 2 lands. For that completely and utterly scientific experiment I just did, it kind of actually proves me fucking wrong, doesn't it? But it's just, you know what I'm getting at here. That number of 2.4 lands per hand was shocking to me when I noticed it. As an illustrative For example, here's the Counterintelligence Edge of Eternity's Commander Precon deck list. I find it has 40 lands in it. If we scroll down, that gives us 2.83 lands per hand. That puts us more in the camp of getting more towards 3 lands per hand so we can cast our goddamn fucking spells. But to further illustrate this point about like opening hands here, this is the World Ship of Precon for the new set, which has 42 lands, okay? Any of them non-land, like spell lands? I don't think so. We scroll down, that's 2.97. Even at 42 lands, which is over 40% of your deck, you're still not guaranteed 3 lands in your opening hand. You're quite close to the statistical average being 3. It's about as close as you're going to get. Well, I say that, you can go 43 and it would be pretty much 3, right? But that is an alarming statistic, do you not think? Does that open your eyes to the idea that your opening hands might suck? Now, again, I've heard it all from doing these videos and living in this space for so long. I know some of you are saying that your CMC is low, so it doesn't matter, but also that ideally if you get 3 lands and a ramp spell, you'll be fine. But I don't think that's necessarily true, is it? First of all, getting a good hand, you are sort of like enabled via the free mulligan system to take a look at 2 hands. And that's where this thread from 2 years ago that I found on Reddit this morning when looking for some statistics comes in handy. I haven't checked their maths because I'm not a mathematician, but no one in the comments said they're wrong. And I posted on my Discord and no one told me it seems off either. In order to have an average of 3 lands in your opening 7, you need 43 lands in your deck. That checks out with what Moxfield tells me. That's right, I'm not a mathematician. With this number of lands, the odds of you getting 3 or more lands is 66%. With 2 mulligans, your odds of getting 3 or more lands goes up to 88%. With 43 lands, your odds of getting 5 land drops by turn 5 is 72%, which again feels quite low. They dropped to a dramatically lower number, 33, and I say dramatically lower, but let's be honest, you know people that play 33 or 34 lands and they think it's fine. For comparison, with 33 lands, your average number of lands in your opening hand is 2.33. You have a 43% chance of getting 3 or more lands in your opening hand, and with 2 mulligans, these odds go up to 67%. Your odds of hitting 5 lands by turn 5 are roughly 49%. So I was throwing maths around like some sort of fucking scientist earlier in my Discord. I was looking for a sense check, and shout out to Zarsis for linking me to Salubrious Snail's calculators I didn't know existed until today. Shout out to Salubrious Snail, you make some pretty good content, but you have been avoiding me. I was on your podcast with Elk and Trinket Mage, and you weren't there. Suspiciously. Look, you're probably out of town or something, but I'm going to start the narrative that we've got beef, because it leads to better views. That's right, I'm announcing the PleasantKenobi versus Salubrious Snail beef right now. Anyway, regardless of beef, they've got this calculator that's pretty fucking useful. Here we have card types drawn, probability calculator. Deck size 99, that's our 99 cards on our commander. How many cards of the type are you running? Let's say it's 40 lands. And how many do you want? We want 5. And when do we want them? We want them now, but ideally that's not going to be the case. We want them by turn 5, so we can cast our 5 drops on turn 5. And that's a really important point that I haven't said yet, because the structure of this video is fucking mad, much like the hairs on my anus. This is to allow you to play 5 drops on turn 5, which is not a wildly out there idea. Now again, I can already hear the tryhard sweats among you saying you don't play 5 drops because you're too busy lowering the CMC of your deck to fit in with whatever the fuck you think constitutes being a competitive player but not playing CDH. But look, casting Dublin Season on or ahead of curve, or Mirari's Wake, either of these like actual staples, Tachova perhaps. I mean, all of these things are in green, so you're probably ramming at least once before you get there, but you know what I mean. Playing them early is good, you don't have to play them late. Well, you got a 66.7% chance of having 5 lands by turn 5. Let's go to 38. Compute 51.9. Okay, that's fine. What about 37? We dropped below 50. 36. Oh, it gets brutal. 45.6. Let's go to 34. Oh boy, sub 40%. Now again, it's not just about the 5 mana, 5 drop things that some of you pretend aren't good enough for Commander, and I really wish we'd move away from this fucking logic too. I'm so sick of people actually min-maxing to like low CMCs is the only way to enjoy Commander. Did you know that according to the top 100 staples in Commander, according to EDH Rec over the last 2 years, only 5 of them are over 4 mana? Isn't that bonkers? I'm here to incentivize you, I'm here to promote, I'm here to suggest that we play the stupid fucking cards that Commander was designed for. But even then, if you're still sat there thinking you don't want to, you want every single card in your deck to cost 3 mana or less, so preferably be free, and you're playing mana rocks and ramps so you can lower your land count, well, I've got a few other points to add to this argument. I want to teach you to suck eggs here by mentioning the idea or the concept of double spelling. Historically, in mono red decks, let's say Burn in Modern for example, the deck's land count was always very low, as low as 18 I want to say at some points in a 60 card deck, which was quite low. The reason you play less lands is to not flood out. But the thing is, even a burn deck isn't looking to just cast one spell a turn off of its lands. It's instead looking to do what's called double spelling. So sometimes you get to 5 mana even if you're not playing a 5-drop to allow you to play a 3-drop and a 2-drop together. And thus you are perhaps advancing your board with a 3 mana enchantment or artifact, and also holding up 2 mana for a counter spell or interaction piece to engage with the rest of the board. If you're not hitting your land drops, or at best you're spending all your mana to enable you to hit your land drops to hopefully get to your 5 and 6 manas that you want down the line, then you aren't both advancing your board state beyond your mana, like enacting a game plan that might win you the game, and also you're not interacting with your opponents. Like tapping out for mana rocks and ramp because you're never naturally drawing your lands is not a good practice. We've just kind of normalized it. Now again, just to be really fucking clear, if you're playing CDH, disregard this. If you're playing at the absolute upper tier of the format, then ignore this. But I think the vast majority of people that watch or respond to these comments online about numbers of lands aren't in those categories. I think a lot of players think they're a lot better than they are. I think a lot of players really would benefit from trying a couple more lands to their deck. So to quote the phrase, eat your fucking vegetables. Lands are a necessary evil in many ways. I do think the land system of Magic does add a lot of positives to the game, more positives than there are negatives, and that's why I fight for the idea that it's not a net negative for the game. But that said, you'd rather have spells in your hand than lands, right? To go back to the anecdote at the beginning of this video, when you see a hand full of 7 spells, it seems like a good hand, because it's 7 spells. It's 7 things you want to do. None of them are these empty spaces, these bricks that we look at as lands. And it's really hard to change that mindset, to not think about wanting to eat your vegetables, to eat your meat or you won't get any pudding. But in much the same way, to really labour the point, the nutrients of the vegetables are important, and the lands being made, the land drops being made so you can cast your bigger spells, or heaven forbid you can double spell, progressing your board state and interacting. That's why you chew on the fucking broccoli. I actually really hate broccoli. I don't mind eating like cheese and broccoli pasta. I guess it's been like fucking boiled to shit and then there's cheese in it, isn't there? Cheese is the devil, am I right? I just want to highlight these statistics because they were alarming. When I first saw the fact that you aren't statistically you're not even getting to 3 lands and you're opening 7, that was alarming. When I started doing the math, I thought it was fucking crazy at trying to hit your 5th land drop with some of these land counts. And then when I saw the calculator by Salubrious Snail, who's now my arch nemesis, it made it even worse. And I hope those numbers, those statistics illustrate the issue and perhaps make you consider not dropping down to 36 lands, even if you are playing a Soul Ring and a fucking Arcane Signet and 2 other mana rocks. It's not enough to cut you down. I used to always have this hard and fast rule about limited decks and Commander that if you had 2 other mana sources, you could for those 2 mana sources cut 1 land. I think that almost holds true for all mana sources that cost 1 or 2 because you can play them early off of a low land count and missing a land drop. Any mana that costs more than 2 requires you to have more than 2 mana in play to cast it. A Commander Sphere, for example, is probably the prominent one that I play in the most decks. I am not of the persuasion that 3 mana rocks are too slow, especially when it comes to Commander Sphere, which I think is an incredible mana rock. There is so much utility to this fucking rock. I've talked about it in so many videos before. Not only is it a 3 mana rock, but it draws you a card, and if you've got a recursive element, let's say a Sun Titan or Savine's Reclamation, you can get it back and draw more cards off of it. You can even tap it for the mana and then sack it to draw the card. And yes, Mind Stone exists, but if you tap out with it and then your opponent casts a Vandal Blast, you can't sack it to draw a card. Meanwhile, Commander Sphere, you fucking can. This card is so good, but I wouldn't include it in my calculations to remove a land because you need lands to cast it. There probably is some math you could do, maybe a third, maybe every 3 mana rocks you can remove a land, but again, that still doesn't quite work out because you still got to hit your land drop to cast your spells initially. And also spending your turn to develop your mana base by playing mana rocks or ramp spells may put you behind overall when you've got to start doing something in the game. This isn't even a video about truly optimizing your deck. If anything, I'm saying play less optimally, play the bigger, flashier spells. But in order to do so, you're gonna have to play a few more lands, buddy. And lastly, I'm gonna finish up on this. Not every vegetable is created equal. Some of them have been injected with sugar. this analogy is fucked, but they're injected with sugar by Wizards of the Coast. MDFCs exist, among other ways to now get lands into play. They're always exploring these new spaces to offset the feel-bads of having to eat your fucking vegetables. And MDFCs are one of them. There's spells sometimes, there are lands others. Play some of these. Your 40 can include these. Your 40 isn't in addition to these. Hell, the fucking Modern Horizons ones are bonkers. They even get to be shocked or bolted in and don't even have the downside of coming in tapped, much like the more balanced MDFCs of old. It's funny saying old, because to me an MDFC is a brand new thing that the Zoomers know about. But I guess some Zoomers don't even remember when they first came around. Fuck me, I am getting so old. Anyway, that was my ramble about land counts. You're playing too few, and 40 is the correct number. 38 maybe, but to be fair, 43 is probably the correct number. But I think 40 is the good middle ground for getting the good statistics on hitting your land drops in your opening hand by turn 5, but also not meaning that you flood out or don't get to play all those cool fucking spells that you've bought in your latest Magic Madhouse order. Use the code PKEdging to get 5% off your order for all things that aren't sale or pre-order, and cool stuff against Kenobi at checkout to get 5% off your order. I've been Vince, also as PleasantKenobi on the internet. Please tell me how wrong or right I am in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one, you little fuck. You know I will. You'll be there. Me and you forever, baby. Like a hamster on the wheel of life. In the meantime, be good to one another, and I'll see you all soon. Ta-ta for now.